Hey, it's Brandon Crane, the original Ben Hanscom from the Stephen King's It miniseries, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Graham Verchere, Davy of Summer of '84. For people not familiar, can you give them an idea of what the movie's about?
Yeah, sure. Summer of '84 obviously takes place in the summer of 1984. It follows four teenage boys who are kind of just bored, looking for something to do. And my character, Davy, he's this conspiracy theorist character. And he gets this idea that the local serial killer, the Cape May Slayer, is actually his neighbor. So he convinces his friends to hop on board, and they spend their summer trying to convince everyone that their neighbor is actually a serial killer.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get involved in the movie?
For me, it was pretty regular audition process. We got the email saying, "Hey, can you do this audition?" And we went in, and then we heard back later. They said that they wanted me to do the role, so it was pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's like the tone of the movie? Is it like a straight horror movie, a thriller? Is it comedic?
I think that's actually one of the things that makes the movie really interesting, is that it starts off as this lighthearted adventure, almost comedy, more like Goonies, I guess. Yeah. But as it gets later into the movie, and as they get closer to finding the truth, it sort of shifts into this full-on horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was 8 in the summer of '84, so I remember, what things were like. But someone who wasn't around in the '80s, what's it like? What did you do to get into the role and into the era that you're playing?
Obviously, I don't have a lot of experience from the '80s. But what we did is we went back and we watched a bunch of movies that are similar to the vibe that Summer of '84 wanted to give. So we went back and we watched things like Goonies and Stand By Me. Those are, I think, the two main ones that we sort of took a lot from.
Yeah. When you're watching that kind of stuff, what are some of the things that stand out to you about that era that you wanted to portray with your character?
There's a lot less of the same, like, toys, I guess. That's the wrong word, but you go back and you look, like, on set in Summer of '84, I remember my parents being kind of freaked out because, like, they said, I had that toy when I was a kid. And now we have, like, I guess, iPhones and stuff. And so it's pretty different. You can see, I guess, differences in technology and how things are, the stuff you find just flying around.
Yeah, I just lost power last week during the nor'easter here, and I did think, like, back in the '80s, I didn't have a phone or a computer, and I'm so bored now without it. So it is a totally different era, different time. What did you think of the music of the time? And do you have any favorite '80s music when you were watching some of these movies?
Oh man, I remember being asked this question before, and I could not pick a favorite. No, I grew up listening to a lot of music from the '70s and '80s. I think the one I decided before was like, maybe. Oh no, they just said ABBA, or because just classic ones like that.
Mm-hmm. So the previous film that the directors made, Turbo Kid, I thought was great. Were you familiar with the movie? Or have you seen it since?
I never actually got to see Turbo Kid. We've been meaning to see it for a long time since we found out who the directors were, but I never actually watched the full thing. I know my dad, I think, watched it on a plane.
Yeah.
And what I've heard about it is that it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So what is that like to have 3 directors? Do they butt heads at all, or they like work like as a unit?
They are so in sync. I didn't see them disagree on anything within themselves, I think, once in the entire shoot. For me and the other cast, we worked mostly with Yoann. He sort of directed us as to what to do, and then the other 2, Francois and Anouk, they did the other aspects of directing, like design and storyboarding and paperwork.
So how about the rest of the cast, like especially like the other your other friends in the movie? Did you guys like bond while making the movie, or did you have any time before you started doing the movie to like kind of work together and get like a chemistry?
Before we started shooting, we tried to get as many of the kids. I don't think we got everyone, but we did an escape room together. And unfortunately, we didn't get out, but it was really fun. That helped us bond before. And then the first couple days on set, we were pretty much locked in this. We filmed all of the treehouse scenes, so we were in this tight room, working together for 10 hours in the day. So we were forced to get pretty close.
Mm-hmm. How about a treehouse itself? I don't know if that's something that the kids still do. Did you ever have a treehouse when you were younger, or now? I don't know. Maybe you still have one.
No, I never really had a treehouse or secret place to hang out with my friends.
Yeah, I never did either, honestly. So, but I always see it in the movies. Well, that would be cool if I would have had a treehouse. But
yeah.
What about Tiara, who plays like kind of the interest of all the guys in the movie?
Oh yeah, she is super fun to work with. She was a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. And what about some of the other adult actors? Some people you never worked with before. Any stories involving any of them?
Well, aside from the actors for my parents, there wasn't really a lot of adults I worked with in there. I mean, there's Tara and then Rich. Rich was super fun. And if you didn't understand his sense of humor on set, you would probably think he hates you. Caleb and Tiara did a prank with him near the end, and his response was to pretend he was really, really angry. So he just stayed inside his trailer, and then Jameson, the producer, texted Tiara, they're engaged now. He said, "Don't talk to Rich. Just stay away, and we're going to try and defuse it." So Tiara and Caleb both thought that he was super angry with them, and nobody knew what was happening.
So, have you kept in contact with the other kids in the movie after you finished?
A bit, not too much, because they've all moved on to do other shows, right? So they're not really near me very much, so we can't hang out in real life. But yeah, we do text occasionally.
Yeah. How about some of those movies you did watch from the 80s? Any favorites from those?
Ooh, man, I'm really bad at picking favorites, but I'll just say Stand By Me, I think.
Yeah, that's actually always been one of my favorite movies. I think it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations, even though it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Did you keep any of the wardrobe?
Oh my gosh. So I think you'll see it. I think you see it in the first shot of the trailer. I'm not sure, but there are these awful shoes that are like rainbow all over the place.
Those. Yeah.
So horrible. But I kept those, and I also got to keep the Casio watch, which was super cool.
Yeah. I had a pair of silver Nikes back in the 80s, so I thought the sneakers looked pretty cool when I was watching the trailer, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Do you wear them, or you just got to keep them as a memento?
I haven't worn them yet. They're sitting on my desk in my room.
So how did the premiere go at Sundance? Were you in attendance?
Yep, I think Corey, who played Faraday, he wasn't able to make it, and same with Judah, who played Eats. They couldn't make it to the premiere, but the audience had a really good time. So I think we're pretty happy with the response.
Yeah. What's that like to watch yourself on the big screen with other people?
I have never been a big fan of watching myself on screen, but it was really, really fun to watch the audience and their reactions to the show, because we know when the jump scares are coming up, right? And we get to hear people jump in their seats, and it's like, yes, it worked.
So what did you I assume that wasn't the first time you saw the finished movie?
No, I got to watch it in Vancouver before we actually went to Sundance.
Yeah. So what did you think when you see the finished movie? And, it's one thing to film it, but once it's all edited together and you have the score and everything, what did you think of the finished film?
Well, it was on a really, really crappy TV with about 10 pixels on it, so that was kind of underwhelming,
Right.
but we were really, really excited because that's what we had been doing all summer, and we could actually see it come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that kind of added to the 80s feel, though, if you're watching it on a really poor television set.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what did you think of the score? It seems like the heavy synth scores. That's kind of made a comeback in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously wasn't alive in the 80s, so I don't know what
Sure.
the regular music was like in back then. But I don't know. I think it really, really, definitely adds to the movie. I was excited when I heard it.
It's interesting. It came up a couple times. Obviously, we weren't alive in the 80s. So when you see movies that have like the nostalgia or take place in the 80s, someone who wasn't alive then, like, what do you take away from that? Is it just like this is like a different world to me?
I definitely I don't get the same sense of nostalgia that somebody older than me might get. I just think it's cool to watch.
Yeah. I guess when I was a kid watching something took place in the 60s or something, it's like, well, I wasn't alive then, but it's cool to see. How about your classmates at school? What do you think about you being in movies? Is that ever hard to deal with, or is it a plus? I don't know.
I think some of them think it's pretty interesting, but yeah, I mean, I try to keep them kind of separate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were watching the movie on the big screen, what are some of the hardest scenes to see of yourself?
Well, there's always scenes that you think like, oh, dang, I wish they had taken that other take, or I wish I could do that one more time because I know what that looks like and I would be able to fix it. Yeah, there's always some scenes that just kind of hit yourself like, why did I do that?
Sure. So, are you a horror movie fan?
In theory, yes, but I haven't really watched a lot of horror movies. I found out. Yeah.
Well, you got plenty of time. So, what kind of movies do you like, and how long have you been an actor?
I've been an actor for almost 5 years now. I started when I was 10, but it only got really busy, and I was actually doing like cool things for the past couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
What kind of movies do you watch?
I'm not sure. I kind of just watch whatever's on. I go see movies with my friends. I'm keeping up with all of the new Marvel movies. Like I saw Black Panther, and I'm definitely going to go see Infinity War when it comes out.
Yeah, my brother's very excited about Infinity War. He's already pre-ordered his ticket. So, and he's had a long time Thanos tattoo on his arm. He's a big Marvel fan. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you got into acting at 10, was that your decision? Was that something your parents wanted you to do? How did that come about?
No, it was kind of just something that we were doing for fun. Me and my twin brother, we have a cousin who was doing a little bit of acting, and we thought just like, hey, that looks cool. We're going to enter a camp just for a week or so and see if it's fun or not. And we really did enjoy it. And that camp actually got us a connection with an agent. So then we started actually doing it professionally from there. Yeah.
Is your twin brother still act?
No, he stopped a few years ago. He does sports now.
Is there any problems there between you two that one continued to act, one didn't?
No, it was. He just didn't really. He wanted to do different things, so
yeah,
it was just kind of agreed.
Yeah. Can you tell me anything about working on Fargo, which I think is an amazing series?
Ooh, Fargo was cold. I think the lowest temperature it got was -35 in Celsius.
Oh, damn.
But it wasn't. It didn't feel too cold because it was dry. But it was. Jokes aside, that set was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had because I got to work with some of the most talented people that you can find. Like my mom, the actress for my mom, Carrie Coon, And then Ewan McGregor was there, which was kind of incredible because
definitely.
I watched him in movies growing up, and he was right there.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience because I can watch these incredible people just do their thing and learn from it.
Yeah, I was going to say that I would assume that's a great learning experience, being able to work with veteran actors who are so talented.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So and then the opposite of that, when you're doing Summer of '84 and you're working with people your own age, like what are the differences there?
I think probably I'm definitely closer to the people my own age. I guess just because it's more relatable and you can be better friends. But that doesn't mean that I don't take the opportunity to learn from them too, because they're definitely, like the kids with me in Summer of '84, they were also some really, really talented actors.
Sure.
And it was great to just learn from them too.
Yeah. Is there any similarities between you and the character you play, Davey?
I would definitely not say I am a conspiracy theorist like him.
Well, that's good.
Like him.
You
Wow,
know,
my voice cracked.
Yeah.
Sorry. But he's kind of, aside from that little quirk, he's pretty much just a regular kid like me. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you're not watching Alex Jones or anything like that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have social media or anything where people can follow you online?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Just my full name, no spaces, no capitals, at Graham Verchere.
What do you have? What do you have in the works?
Sort of between things right now. Good Doctor is coming out with season 2, which is really exciting. But yeah, I might be doing a little bit of theater here and there in Vancouver, but we're not sure yet.
Yeah. For your role in Good Doctor, I read that you studied autism and stuff to play an autistic person. What was that experience like?
It was one of the more difficult things I've had to do on set. The show brought in an expert on autism, and my mom also works with a lot of autistic kids. So she and the expert both helped me with actually portraying it realistically. Yeah. They definitely helped.
Yeah. And you also want to be respectful to people that are autistic. So, autistic. So,
I think it's important to remember that it's not a negative thing, autism. It's just your brain works differently. Yeah.
And so Summer of '84, do they have a website or I'm sure you can follow them on Twitter and everything as well.
Oh yeah, social media everywhere. It's a mix of, I'm not going to be able to remember which one is which, but there's like at Summer of '84 and at Summer of '84 movie on different social medias.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of buzz. You can find it just by Googling it. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of buzz about the movie, so I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, and I know a lot of people in the horror community are as well. So I hope is it going to play at theaters? Like, how's it going to be released?
So they're working on a distribution deal right now. We don't know yet. From Sundance, we don't have news as to how it's going to be released just yet.
Cool. Well,
I think it'll be.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to it, and like myself. So I appreciate you coming on here and talking to me.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Ben Heller from Stephen King's It. I played young Stan, and you're listening to Without Your Head.